Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you are listening to a Radulich Broadcasting premiere podcast. Damn you, Hollywood! And here's your host, Robert Winfree. Yay!
It's a special Sunday show, and you know what that means. Mark's already drunk. All right. Hello, everyone, again on our special day and time, mostly done to accommodate my having to travel for my father's wedding. So a big thank you to everyone who was able to help make that happen. Joining me here today, we have, first of all, my regular partner in crime. We have Mark. He is more than half in the bag. Mark, how you doing?
I've had a tuna fish sandwich. A half a tuna fish sandwich because my teeth are killing me. But other than that, I'm just ducky, buddy. I got to watch all the live boxing yesterday. I got to watch, I believe it was Joseph Parker versus Derek Chisora. Nobody got glassed. People are arguing that maybe Chisora might have won that one. I think it's kind of ridiculous. But that was a really fun brawl. And then I got to watch the Andy Ruiz, Chris Arreola pay-per-view, where Chris Arreola was like, listen, I don't mind that I lost by decision. That's fair. But some of those scorecards are ridiculous. And then he cursed at the judges, which is pretty funny.
Good for him, even though he is a giant joke of a heavyweight. But I repeat myself.
Anyway, so I'm feeling fine, buddy. How are you feeling?
Not too bad. 6-hour car ride, get back here, wait 20 minutes for you to show up, then we're all good.
All right. Well, we were seeing another movie we're going to be talking about this week on the Radulich Broadcasting Network. I took my kids to go see Scott Pilgrim versus the World, which
That's technically child abuse, isn't it?
I don't think I've ever seen it. Like, I thought I did, but
my brothers love that movie. I wouldn't piss on it if it were on fire.
Yeah, you and I are going to have to talk separately about how we are surrounded by people who think it's, Schindler's List, Citizen Kane, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. I don't understand it, but I'm apparently a 90-year-old man with a 10-year-old daughter. We should bring her onto the show.
We should, but we won't. Anyway, joining us for another special here, because today we are talking about the Demon Slayer movie, The Mugen Train. Mark's 10-year-old daughter, and I have to tell you all this so that you can all publicly shame her for this take, hater of Bugs Bunny, Lilly Radulich. Lilly, welcome back. I assume the last time you'll be here.
Come on. Why exactly are you saying this will be my last time?
I'm just assuming that every time everyone interacts with me is going to be their last time if it's their choice.
Yeah, he's saying you don't want to play. You're not going to want to play with us anymore after this outing.
No, if it's something that I'll join on.
That's good to know.
So Lilly,
your father has successfully monetized you in theory.
So Lilly, we watched the. We got up this morning and we binge-watched Season 1D of the HBO Max Looney Tunes cartoons, and can you just briefly explain to Robert your problem with Bugs Bunny for the world to hear?
Okay, so he does this thing where he never gets hurt, never gets bruised, and yet he is able to destroy every single person, even Marvin, which made me angry. And Marvin... We don't really see Marvin a lot, and I feel like he got his episode of fame, and all it was him getting exploded by mini TNT sticks, which definitely made me angry.
It's the P-32 space modulator, first of all.
Of course that's all Marvin does. He wants to blow up the Earth, and he's constantly getting blown up himself because he sucks at his job.
But that's the thing, Lilly, I didn't want to do this publicly. But your take on Bugs Bunny seems to be you ignoring the fact that in most of these cases Bugs is just defending himself. And so the people that he is, like Elmer Fudd, Yosemite Sam, Marvin the Martian, Taz, they're all after Bugs in some way, and he's retaliating and they're getting their comeuppance. What do you want him to do, win and then Bugs Bunny dies?
I mean, Bugs Bunny could, be not an exploding person. He's always he's tricking the people, and the people are gullible and fall for it, and so he just in the end explodes them, which just doesn't make sense. Bugs Bunny needs to stop exploding people. He has to get new material.
That's why Bugs Bunny, 100-year-old hack.
All right, enough about Bugs Bunny, who is in fact the greatest thing to happen to comedy ever. Again, we are talking about the Demon Slayer movie, The Mugen Train, which was released a couple of weeks ago. Now, we agreed to do this in no small part because Lily is a huge fan of the property, and she suckered her father into watching anime, something I have managed to do on a couple of occasions as well. So, let me start with you, Mark, because you're the most dispassionate about this entire endeavor. What did you expect going into this particular film? Were you happy? Were you sad? Were you please don't let me fall asleep? Or why, oh, why are my teeth hurting? Why is my body failing me?
Well, there's a lot of that, but no one wants to hear about it. Honestly, to give you a very serious answer so we can actually talk about the film, I kind of expected Mad Max Fury Road. Like, I just thought high-speed moving train. Maybe Fury Road's not the best example of this, but the idea of it being like a movie in perpetual motion and them having to fight this demon in various locations and aspects throughout the train, that's really what I expected. I expected when you take a property from the small screen to the big screen, everything gets bigger, everything gets louder, everything gets more splody. And so what I was thinking was, if they decided, now having never read the manga, I can't speak to this too terribly intelligently, but I was guessing that there's a part of the manga dealing with the Mugen Train that's like super big action fun time. And I thought, okay, it would make sense then to take this super big action fun time part of the manga and adapt it for the big screen to capture the worldwide interest in this product that's happening right now. If that makes sense to you, if capitalize, that's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
So if they're trying to capitalize on the fame and popularity of this thing, and so they can have a big hit movie, they're like, let's look at the part that has the most action in it that makes sense for the biggest screen possible, and let's do that. Boy, did I strike out there. Holy cow.
Yeah, you would have gotten something very different than you expected. Not that there aren't great action sequences here, but it is very much not what you were expecting then.
No, this... Go ahead, Lil.
I enjoyed it, just the ending made me pretty sad.
We're going to get there, but he was asking me what did I expect. Lily, you've only gotten Volume 2 today when you went to the bookstore, so you didn't know anything about the Mugen Train, only that it existed, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I only found it out because the final episode of Demon Slayer ended with a cliffhanger of them on the train. So that's how I know there would be a movie.
Gotcha.
Alrighty. So we do pick up immediately where Season 1 leaves off, and if you want to hear our review of that, you can go into the archives and find our review of the Demon Slayer Season 1. Anime that's aired, a good time was had by all. Not Tanjiro's family, but pretty much everyone else. So we pick up as they are on the train. Our trio of protagonists, Tanjiro, Inosuke, and Zenitsu, find their superior officer, the Flame Hashira Rengoku.
Tasty!
Dude, I love that guy. He's hilarious.
Why did he suddenly get, autistic? Why was he just screaming tasty repeatedly?
He's just passionate.
Oh, okay. Is that how that works?
He didn't trust Tanjiro in the beginning, and then he did. Which I thought that was a big step for him, but he had to die, and it made me sad.
We're gonna get there. Slow down. I just needed to yell out tasty. Go ahead, Robert.
Well, then you have to get large. Your passion must fill up the screen, Mark.
Oh, okay.
So they meet him. They are here to deal with a demon that's been collecting people from this train. This is the only surviving member of the lower set of the Moon group. Enmu.
Well, Kisuke.
Yeah. So we have Enmu here, Lower Moon 1, who is mucking about on the train. They fight a few demons. They think all is more or less well, and then the magic, various magic takes effect. They're all put to sleep. And some of Enmu's little minions, who he's been keeping awake for long periods of time, and are just desperate to finally sleep. But really, don't you understand, Enmu is the victim here. Never mind. Sorry. Bad reference to WandaVision aside. Just let me sleep. Oh, I'm sorry. I'll give up so much to save you. Get bent. WandaVision, you sucked. So all this other group of children are kind of magically bound into these dreams. They're supposed to carve out of the dream space into the subconscious, find what's called the spiritual core of each individual, kill it, which will essentially render them brain dead, spiritually dead. It's never quite made clear. Whatever it is, they will subsequently become very easy pickings for the demons or any armed child who feels like stabbing something. This does not go very well for the evil villains. Sorry. For a variety of different reasons, actually. Inosuke's subconscious is an unnavigable labyrinth of caves. Zenitsu chases... Zenitsu's made me
I
laugh
hated
so hard.
Zenitsu's dream.
Oh, his dream was great. Then when he starts chasing around the guy who's into his subconscious with a pair of shears, I laughed. That was funny. And Tanjiro's subconscious is just too darn helpful. Don't you understand? He's just such a pure, good little boy that our sleep-deprived maniac of a child couldn't bring himself to actually do it. And Rengoku is too very well trained to fall for this stuff right away. But they're all trapped in these dreams. Nezuko wakes up, and Tanjiro kind of figures out that if I kill myself in the dream, I'll wake up, like you do. Which is a real thing that happens. So they all kind of come back. A few of them wake up. They start fighting this particular demon. This goes well originally until the demon reveals that I have infused myself into this entire train. You can't kill me. I don't have a head, which is not true. There is very clearly a front of a train, but moronic demon logic aside. Let's see. Rengoku wakes up and winds up defending a lot of the passengers, as does Zenitsu and Nezuko. While they defend people, Inosuke and Tanjiro head up to the front of the train, the very obvious head, are able to fight through the demon's defenses, decapitate it, derail the train, fortunately not kill anyone. All seems well with the world until the arrival of Akaza, one of the upper members of the 12 Moons.
It was so exciting seeing an upper-ranked demon for the first time in the show.
Yeah, and this guy doesn't play around either. He gets into a prolonged fight with Rengoku. This ends badly as he is able to kill Rengoku. Rengoku almost returns the favor, but he yanks his own arms off and escapes into the woods to avoid the rising sun. Rengoku imparts a little bit of wisdom towards Tanjiro about believing in yourself and a few hints about where he might be able to go to find clues about his sun-breathing technique that he doesn't fully understand yet. Everyone is informed of the death of Rengoku. Our merry band of adventurers vows to be better, and the demons continue their plotting ways. Now, there's a lot of nuance here and details that I'm deliberately glossing over because we can talk about them in a bit, but that's kind of the crux of what goes on here. So, Lily, start with you. What did you like? What didn't you like? The good, the bad, the ugly, all of it. Just all of it.
It was interesting seeing what their dreams were really like. Besides Zenitsu's. Zenitsu's made me go crazy. In anger.
What about Zenitsu's dream specifically was upsetting for you?
For one, when a boy walked into his inner core area, it was pitch black, and he was like, "Where am I?" And then he just pops out with shears. It just drove me kind of insane.
Well, that was funny. I laughed so. Mark, you had to have laughed at that.
I may or may not have been awake.
You are the worst.
I've noticed that so far upper demons are the only demons that care, oh no, the sun's up, I need to go undercover fast and very fast, while other demons are just I gotta finish this battle, I don't care if the sun's coming up. And in the end, they either die by the sun or by decapitating them.
What else did you like about the movie?
Actually, something made me very sad where we find out that one of them has a sickness that makes him die because of needles, and he was forced to hold one for most of the movie, which made me understand why Tanjiro said that's unacceptable and got angrier.
Yeah, he was. The kid had tuberculosis, which is a terrible disease.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it's still a terrible disease. We just have better ways of treating it now. But again, Mark, that's one of the things that you guys are always terrified of in the prison system is that tuberculosis.
Yeah, we are constantly like TB testing people, and we it's a whole like before the pandemic, it was probably the number one thing that we checked for and repeatedly checked for while in the incarceration community.
So what was it? I think tuberculosis is the White Death. It's white or blue. I can't remember which.
Something like that.
If you ever happen to be reading any old stories or old discussions of death, if someone is referred to have died of consumption, that's tuberculosis. For anyone out there who may need to know that. Terrible disease.
So Lily,
Lily,
you did it meet your expectations? Was there, you and I had a very different viewing experience of this thing. Just being there with you in the theater, you were very caught up in what was happening. You were very invested in what was happening with the characters. Did the movie feel any different from the show? Did it feel the same as? Did it feel to you like an extended episode of the show? How did it feel? The difference between the show and the movie?
It was pretty close to the show. Just I felt the movie was a lot. It was like kind of short in a way. Like I didn't expect it to end.
You think it ended abruptly, like they weren't done telling the story yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
But we found out what an upper rank demon's power is.
This is important to you?
Yes, I was really excited to see a upper rank demon in a Demon Slayer movie.
We saw it a week ago Monday, and so you had a whole week of going to school with your friends that also watched Demon Slayer. Had anyone seen the movie yet? Did you talk to any other kids about it?
I have a friend named Mia who knows about Demon Slayer, and I told her about the movie. And when I got back to school after the movie, she asked how it was, and I told her it was really good.
Had anyone at school seen it and were able to give their own opinions? Like, was there any dialogue about it?
Not exactly. Me and Mia are the only ones who agree with Demon Slayer. Other kids in my class who know anime don't exactly care.
Okay, gotcha. Lily, anything else you want to talk about the movie? Anything you didn't like about the movie? Was there anything that was disappointing to you?
I have to think. I have to give myself a minute to think, but
right.
I definitely was. But hold on, it was definitely sad though when Tanjiro was starting to get out of the dream, and all his family members in the dream just started turning on him. It made me pretty sad for Tanjiro.
All right, so it was effective at the very least.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Mark, you said you two had a very different experience despite seeing the same movie and being seated next to each other, so talk to me about yours.
I'm going to say the same thing now that I'm going to say again on Thursday when we talk about Scott Pilgrim. I don't want to crap all over something that people, by and large, seem to enjoy, because this is one of those things where clearly I didn't have the same reaction, but there's a level of competency and craft work that is more superior than I'm probably going to give it credit for, because I didn't love it. And so I'm really trying to just kind of separate that out and just like, okay, clearly, this is critically acclaimed and widely loved by fans. So what is it about this movie that I can say that isn't just, it didn't do anything for me personally? My only real big criticism of it, I talked a lot about the style of the dialogue and how it's a little too wordy for me when we talked about the Demon Slayer show. But this has been my big complaint about anime in general. And it may and Davis said on occasion, I think you have brought this up too, that my problems with the dialogue in anime may be a translation issue. At least
some of it, yeah.
In large part, there tends to be a lot of one character monologuing, and then the character responds via monologue, and then another monologue, and then they do something. It also tends to be like badly overdramatic. There's a lot of stuff with the demon in this, whose hands turned into mouths, and she was making the dreams happen. Where she would talk. He or she? Was it a he or she? I couldn't tell.
It was a he.
Okay, he would talk, and about 20 minutes later, when it was done saying whatever it needed to say, I was like, "Get on with this already." And it was a lot of. It felt very childish to me. It's the kind of stuff kids say when they play. You don't understand. The thing will happen at the time, and then you're going to die, and won't that be wonderful? And it's just, oh my god.
I didn't like how positive he was about dying. I did not like that one bit.
Yeah, it drove me. That character in particular, because the other ones tend not to drone on like that. But the demon droning on in almost every interaction he had with Tandro drove me a little up the wall.
That's fair.
The whole thing felt like... Remember when we talked about the show, I said there was an arc with the spider people? And the thing that made that palatable for me at the time was at least it was broken up into chunks. It was 22 minutes, take a breath, credits, other stuff happens, I can get up and pee, and then you come back and you watch the next episode, and you come, rinse, repeat, and 2 or 3, 4 episodes, and the arc finishes, and it's long, and it's about an hour and a half to get through it all, but at least it's broken up, and I don't have to sit there and try to what feels like digesting an entire rib rack without breaking it apart, if you catch my meaning.
Sure.
This definitely felt like trying to swallow an entire rib rack. I needed a break. It was, they're on the train, they're kind of introducing you to the situation and the characters, and then there's this long extended dream sequence, and I was a little out of it during that, so I'm not going to comment and complain. The parts that I were alert for, I got the idea. These are, it's the trope in fiction of your worst nightmares come forward to bear on you. And, you are having, it's the Nightmare on Elm Street thing. You are having to live in your worst nightmare. It's all of your anxieties
sort of.
kind of eating at you in some way, shape, or form.
Well, the original intent is to give you the best dream possible, so you never want to wake up while the little assassins can go kill whatever your soul the manifestation of your soul.
Okay. And I was actually kind of, like, once I got it, I was kind of like, okay, well, at least this is an interesting psychological thing they're doing with the dreams. When Tandro finally breaks out of it and has his hero moment, and he's like, oh, I get how to do this now. And he goes and he faces the demon. I'm like, oh, finally, now we're getting somewhere. All right, hot bananas. It's Tandro versus the demon. Versus the demon. Versus the demon. An hour later, he's still fighting the fucking demon. 2 hours later, he's still fighting the damn demon.
Almost like the name of the show is Demon Slayer.
The same demon? The same damn demon? And then it turned into an Italian sausage on me. And I'm like, what's happening?
Well, then at the end of the movie, you see another demon pop in.
So, what I'm saying is it was like, this didn't have to be an entire movie. I don't think this was the best choice to put in. I mean, and again, I'm willing to accept that I'm probably wrong about that. I don't have the manga to compare it to. I don't know what comes next to say, of all the things that could have made into a movie, this was the best choice. But this didn't feel like it. This felt like more of the same that we got in the show. This felt like more episodes. Especially the extended fight with the demon before it turned, before and then after, when then him and Initsu ganged up on it when it turned into an Italian sausage. Which I actually kind of like when Initsu woke up and he was fighting with Tandro. I was enjoying that because I like the Initsu character. Number one, number two, a lot of the Initsu stuff is really funny to me.
You're hurting me. You are physically hurting me.
Why? What am I doing wrong?
Say it with me. Inosuke.
I was about to say that.
Sorry, I'm
I was
combining
about to
two
say
names,
you're
aren't I?
mispronouncing his
I'm
name.
combining Zenitsu and Inosuke. Sorry.
Yeah, you are. You really are.
I'm an old man. Leave me alone. Inosuke.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Or just call him the boarhead.
Man, Bear, Pig. I'm going to go back to that.
Man.
So I liked when he was fighting with Man, Bear, Pig. Man, Bear, Pig is a really funny character to me, and he has a lot of really funny lines, and he was probably the most entertaining part of the movie for me.
I remember when I told you about it, I thought he would be your favorite character in the show.
You were
and
not
he
wrong.
is, apparently.
I thought I had ingested drugs at the beginning of the movie when the one guy, whose name, the one who dies at the end, Lily, what's his name?
Rengoku.
When Rengoku was just blurting out tasty, repeatedly for a good, an hour and a half of the movie, just blurting out tasty. I honestly thought I was high.
It was just his introduction.
Anyway.
You're saying tasty because of the food.
No shit, Sherlock. I mean, just the fact that that's all he was saying. And like, oh, it's so tasty. Oh, it's very good. Oh, I'm loving this. I'm in ecstasy. Nope. Tasty! Tasty! Like it's a video game. I thought I was on drugs. Apparently that's just him. So again, a little bored in the beginning.
On the plus side, you don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, this is true. He's gone. So it's kind of my viewing experience. Kind of bored in the beginning, then it picks up, then I'm interested, then like hot bananas. Then there's that whole end sequence where it lost me again. And I know it was meaningful to Lily because she liked the character, and the character has a heroic death and all of that. And now that we are into the second season, where it's revenge for Rengoku. But I was like, I just didn't care.
So after the movie, Jonas didn't exactly care that Rengoku died, and I was over here crying.
Yeah, you were having a rough time with it. So craft-wise, like I said, it's a little uneven for me. The dialogue, it's somewhere between it may not be my thing, and it might just be that's the style, to, come on, there's got to be even better written dialogue anime than this. I just refuse to believe this is the height of the thing, and this is how it all is. It's a very pretty movie. I will give it that. They do an excellent job with the animation and camera work in this. We talked about that with the show. And I will say, if anything made use of the cinema space in terms of craft, it was the look and the cinematography and the direction and the animation of the film. That is where the thing has its most success, in my opinion. Other than that, I'm glad it exists in the world. I'm glad the kids like it. I will continue to be a part of this thing because my daughter is, and this is one of the ways in which we connect. But if you were to ask me if this is something that I would continue with in a vacuum, the answer is no. This doesn't hold a tremendous amount of interest for me. Robert?
Much like you, I was less interested in the story they told here, and I'll get to that in just a second. My big draw, my big curiosity watching this movie was what they were going to do visually. Mm-hmm. And this thing is gorgeous.
Yeah.
They blend 2D and 3D exceptionally well. The team behind this really gets how to do that.
They seem to do less of the constantly switching to the childish art, which I hated in the first season. Which I'm glad, because the less they do of that, the better.
Yeah, you just hate fun.
That's me, Robert, of the two of us. Sure.
Yes, it is. You are the thief of joy.
Okay. That's what Lily calls me. Daddy Thief of Joy.
Wait, do I?
No,
it is. No, you're fine. Look, this is one of the rare instances when I'm on the other end of this equation, so shut up and let me enjoy it.
Shut up.
I loved the. I was about 50-50 on the fight with Enmu. I mean, most of it's fine. I'm with you on his character in particular and the way his dialogue tends to drone and be repetitious. That really doesn't work for me. I kind of wanted that part to be done sooner. And I'm a guy who enjoys a lot of this medium, and so I'm okay with most of its idiosyncrasies.
Mm-hmm.
But a bit too monologue-y. The fight between Rengoku and Akaza was gorgeous. Like that, I loved that. I loved that whole sequence. It's the fairly typical offer of immortality, but don't you understand? You'll decay, your skills, your looks, your youth, all of it. It will go away. I can offer you so much more. And the guy going, "You fool! You lack wisdom. This is what gives these things meaning." I mean, it is a very well-worn trope.
So you wanted to battle him for the eternity.
Again, it's a very well-worn trope for stuff like this, but it's well-worn for a reason. It makes sense. I loved the way they fought. I loved the shot composition, the stuff they did with the camera. I think the movie did a decent job of trying to find emotional cores for everything. Again, some of it some of it works, some of it doesn't. Tanjiro seeing his family again and trying to figure out, is this real? Is this not? And much as Rengoku is not a character that we spend a tremendous amount of time with, it might be, a bit overly emotionally manipulative, but his death when he sees his mother at the end, again, it's kind of a cheap shot in some respects, but it's an effective cheap shot. It's a thumb to the eye. You shouldn't do it, but it's always going to work.
Yep.
Again, all in all, I enjoyed it. I don't have a tremendous amount of complaints. I echo some of your sentiments about bits and pieces of the dialogue, but I was more in this one for the visual experience than the dialogue. And in that respect, this thing is exceptional. You should watch this, if nothing else, just to see the blending of 2D and 3D and how all of that works together. It's great. It is genuinely great.
Can I ask you, was there a better chunk of the manga that would have been better suited to the big screen, or this was as good as it's going to get?
Well, there's the finale.
I mean, but you got to tell a whole story here. And so I guess what I'm asking you is there
a more isolated segment that you could just kind of lift?
Yeah. That would have been a little bit more interesting, because I just have I was just struggling with this.
I don't know. You're always going to struggle with that a little bit. Part of this is just kind of where the first season of the anime ended.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from a purely objective standpoint, if you wanted to make a self-contained story, then you just do the spider people. You do the spider clan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Once things kind of get rolling like this, I mean, there's a few other chunks you might be able to argue. The big one would probably be the finale, because, if you think what these guys did is something, you ain't seen nothing yet. Muzan is a whole other kind of monster.
Mm-hmm.
Also, without mentioning anyone in particular, get used to death. A lot of death in this story. This is not light.
Okay. I mean, we don't have a lot of characters here, so are we talking about major characters?
I'm very deliberately not saying anything else.
Okay. No, that's fine. I don't want you to give it away necessarily, especially because I think my daughter would be in tears if you did. But I am wondering, are we talking about very significant deaths?
Certain characters are going to develop more as the story progresses, so what you define as significant might change over time.
Okay. Tasty.
Yeah.
Again, just warning. Lots of characters in this series die.
Okay.
And it makes me sad.
Does it top the body count? Does it top the body count of Devilman Crybaby? Which was the world.
No, nothing tops that.
Okay.
Yeah, Devilman Crybaby ended with the literal end of the world, and then it's reforming.
I'm just curious about that. Hey, Devilman Crybaby has the top body count in all of anime history. Demon Slayer, hold my beer.
No, not like that. I'm actually not entirely sure Devilman Crybaby does. Now that I think about it,
serious. It killed the world.
Well, it killed the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
You have Mark. There are so many other stories that have multiple planets with inhabitants comparable to that of Earth that wind up destroyed.
Yeah. Apparently, the other thing everybody on Earth seems to really enjoy is Attack on Titan, which I've now heard a zillion times.
I have a friend in my class who brings a manga of that to school.
Attack on Titan?
Yes.
Okay.
Also, speaking of death, a lot of death in Attack on Titan too.
I have not watched it, so I don't know.
Parts of that show are very bleak, in a good way. We're not talking like Walking Dead misery porn levels of bleakness, but it's not like Attack on Titan goes through like 3 or 4 different genres about what you think the story is, and I mean the first season, the first half of the last season is over. I need to catch up on it, and the manga is about to end pretty soon too.
So I sent everybody the same message that I sent you about, including Lily, about, hey, I'm making a list of things people want to talk about, so that I don't constantly keep filling up the schedule with things that I want to talk about. That I open it up to everybody else's, thoughts and desires. Hang on one second. Hang on one second.
All right. Yeah, there's also other stories where the whole of existence is rewritten multiple times, so it's unclear whether or not someone, the entirety of existence dies or comes back differently. Does that mean the original died? I mean, so again, to say that Devilman Crybaby has the largest body count might be a bit of a stretch, depending on how you want to discuss things like that.
I didn't want to get into a debate about it. This is more of a facetious comment. In any case, are we done?
That up now. What has the highest body count?
You're stuck on this, aren't you? The only thing I was going to say is I'm
thinking about it now. Is all.
I was starting to say before we had a technical difficulty, I kind of let everybody send me a list of things, and I got a very wide variety of stuff, but a handful of people were like Sean Garmer was like, you got to do all those Studio Ghibli, which I assume is anime, all the Studio Ghibli films. Robert Cooper of the Metal Coop, he sent me a handful of animes, a manga, and a Japanese heavy metal album. But I think, independent of that and including that, I have had a lot of people tell me that I am missing out on Attack on Titan, thinking it's the best thing ever.
I'm not going to tell you it's the best thing ever. Let me know if you do decide to watch it. I will probably talk about it with you guys if you're so inclined.
Yeah, it's fine. I've only got 100 other things on the schedule. So.
Hey, you're the one who decided that this was going to be. We were going to go at this pace.
Well, no, it's more of. I said to Jesse, I said, I liked my life better when I was a benevolent dictator. Democracy sucks.
Yeah, you and Obama think alike.
Make sure you say that in school, Lily, that according to Mark's friends, former President Barack Obama was a benevolent dictator.
He wanted to be a dictator.
Say that, and make sure you say that to all your teachers, okay?
Yes.
Okay, I don't know if I'll remember that all, but okay.
I'll
try my best.
If you do, just go ahead and go for it. If you don't, that's fine. No one's going to care.
I just one kid in my class. He's obsessed with everything adults are talking about, so...
I weep for that child.
Are we done?
I think that's pretty much everything.
Lily, I'm going to give you the last word here. So anything that... you're very passionate about this. This was something that was important to you. So I want to make sure that you feel like you got your say. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything at all about the movie?
I don't really know what else to say about it other than I didn't understand why I didn't understand Inosuke's dream whatsoever. I didn't understand why did it take place in a cave.
It took place in a cave because that's where he was raised.
Oh.
They haven't gotten to this in the show yet, so I'll tell you. This isn't a giant spoiler. He was raised by wild boars. That boar head that he wears is actually the head of his mother.
We talked about this when we were talking about the show, but how did you get this information exactly?
It's in the book.
I only have this first one and the second one. I'm far behind.
I'm just saying it's out there for public consumption. It's not some giant secret.
Okay, so at some point in the manga that is explained.
Yeah,
okay,
100%. We get more on him. We get more on Zenitsu. Like everybody gets all of the characters get more fleshed out the longer the story goes.
All right, Lil, real quick, what have you read before we move on? I'm curious if people care about this, but what have you read? What are you reading right now in terms of manga? Bingo Bango Bongo.
I've been reading the 4th My Hero Academia book. and I've also been reading the second Demon Slayer. Right now they're on my shelves.
And you've been watching Naruto?
Yes, I have. I'm on season 2 right now.
Yeah, 50 words or less on Naruto for Robert's sake. I want to see what he thinks of your opinion on that.
In the beginning, I wished Sakura would be a little more useful in the show.
She's so useless.
You popped Robert. That's not easy to do.
That is never going to change.
She just doesn't do much to help her friends. Like, Sasuke and Naruto always are fighting, and she's just in the background staring at them and rooting for Sasuke.
Naruto is there's entirely too much filler in that for my taste, but a lot of people do enjoy it, and I'm not... Much as I do enjoy dumping on stuff, especially stuff that other people like, I've tried very hard not to as much recently.
Okay.
It's not my favorite thing, but the fact that you want to... thank you, I needed the laugh. That was good. That was funny.
The laughter of little Roberts brings joy to my heart. So thank you, Lily. If you contributed nothing else to this podcast, you did that much. So.
I want Sakura to be useful.
I don't know what you guys are talking about, but it sounds funny.
You don't need to get it. Anyone who knows gets it. Anyone who doesn't, don't worry about it.
Okay. So with that said, let's talk about the money. Here we go.
Because a lot of it.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Dollar, dollar. Dollar, dollar.
All right. Well, on a budget of... It doesn't say. But it's made, at this point, $469.1 million as of this recording, according to the Wikipedia. It was number 2 last weekend in the box office. Number 1 was Mortal Kombat. And then
my brother loves Mortal Kombat now because of you, Dad.
I'm sure he does. However, in its second weekend in the box office, Demon Slayer, for the weekend of April 30th through May 2nd, has hit the number 1 spot. It defeated the major big-budget motion picture in theaters and on HBO Max put out by Warner Brothers. Shame, Warner Brothers. Godzilla vs. Kong, 3 weeks in the number 1 spot. Exactly what they had intended. Raya and the Last Dragon, 3 weeks in the number 1 spot. Exactly as they intended. The Croods, because...
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman had several weeks in the number 1 spot. Mortal Kombat, 1 week, and then it's summarily defeated by the juggernaut that is Demon Slayer Mugen Train. Holy kaboli.
Can we all agree that that Mugen Train was better written than the Mortal Kombat movie, if nothing else?
Oh, there's no disagreement there. I mean, come on.
Hold on. I actually have to think about this now. Better written, had better fights, it is a better movie on every possible level.
So
not even the stuff that you go to see Mortal Kombat for is, apart from just like raw, stupid gore.
So this is an interesting little factoid here. If you look at the domestic dailies, it was the number 1 movie Friday, April 23rd when it came out. It dropped to number 2 on Saturday, number 2 on Sunday. By Thursday, April 29th, it was the number 1 movie again, dropped to number 2 Friday, April 30th. And then May 1st and May 2nd, it's back to number 1 again. It is now currently number 1 for the weekend. As I said before, Mortal Kombat dropped to number 1. Godzilla is in its second week in the number 3 spot. Separation debuted at number 4. Raya and the Last Dragon maintained its spot at number 5. Nobody dropped from 4 to 6. The Unholy from 6 to 7. The 10th anniversary of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World debuted at number 8.
10 years ago, the world got a little darker. For the record, I'm going to say this publicly. You can all come at me if you're so inclined. I hate that movie.
Good. You and Sean and Ronnie Adams can all have a fight about it. Tom and Jerry dropped from 7 to 9. Together 8 to 10. 4 Good Days, which I really want to see, but I don't think I'm going to get to the theater for this in the spaces that it's showing. This and French Eggs that I really want to go see because I like more than films with just explosions. Debuted at number 11. The Girl Who Believes in Miracles fell from 9 to 12. The Croods apparently still in theaters and on VOD. 12 to 13. The Father, who Anthony Hopkins won an Oscar for.
Good for him.
6 to 14. The Resort. The Resort debuted at number 15. Limbo 16. Minari, which was nominated for Oscars, dropped from 14 to 17. Voyagers, which nobody saw, 13 to 18. Chaos Walking, 15 to 19. And finally, In the Earth rounds out the top 20. Worldwide, we are currently at Hi Mom with number 1. Detective Chinatown number 2. Godzilla at number 3 with 415 million worldwide. A Writer's Odyssey, 149. Well, hang on. If this thing has made 469 million, then shouldn't it be in the top 10? What the hell?
Whoever's updating these has done a terrible job.
Yeah, clearly. No, Mortal Kombat's only made 66 million worldwide.
According to this is a weird. I feel like when everyone got drunk during the time off when the pandemic shut everything down, all the people who tend to do the updating for this stuff just never came back to work.
Well, if you go by what's on the wiki, I'll just do this myself. It's at 469.1 million. So it's actually the number 3 movie in the world right now. With Hi Mom being 822 million, Detective Chinatown being 668. Is this right with Godzilla?
What it as?
Godzilla versus Kong, they're saying... Godzilla versus Kong, they're saying, according to Box Office Mojo, it has it at 415 million.
I'll buy that.
Maybe. Hang on.
It sounds about right. Let's
see what the wiki says. See if that's accurate.
Because wiki is so much more accurate than properly curated websites.
No, it's right. It's dead on. All right, I can move on from this now. So, Robert, what's your opinion on this? Sean Garmer had a really good point earlier. He was like, it's not like Mortal Kombat got rave reviews from anywhere. It didn't get rave reviews except for like a certain circle of people who apparently Comic Book Resources is aware of, who thought it was the best film ever, video game film. And that article is actually on the Radulich and Broadcasting Facebook page. I think in general,
stop giving CBR any sort of traction. That place needs to go away.
I put that up just because I thought that article was hilarious, but
it is. It is hilariously stupid.
But in most corners of the world, Mortal Kombat got critically panned. It got panned by fans. I think a lot of the curiosity. I think this was one of those deals where people were like, "Let me wait to see what people thought of it," and then they did, and it wasn't great. And so there might have still been curiosity out there. But with the option available to watch it on HBO Max, people were like, I might as well just watch this at home then. Apparently, this didn't lend itself to the same big theater experience that Godzilla vs. Kong did. So, your thoughts, though?
As far as Mortal Kombat goes, there's no reason to pay to see that movie.
Well,
straight up.
I mean, the conversation really is, how did Demon Slayer in its second weekend beat Mortal Kombat?
Well, because Mortal Kombat's not good, which is not... Hang on. Don't cut me off. One, it's not good. Now, that's not the biggest... That's not box office death, right? That's why we do this show, partially. But it's the wrong kind of bad, if we're talking cinematic quality. Like you said, who liked this? I mean, who came out of Mortal Kombat and said, this was great, I'm going to see it again? Anybody? Bueller? Fry? Nobody? Nobody. That's the end result there. Nobody came out of this going to see it a second time. And there's nothing about Mortal Kombat that requires the big screen. I mean, there's a handful of well-done cinematic, landscape shots, but you're not going to pay $8 for those, 8 minutes of film in the totality of that movie. This one, by contrast, does benefit, I think, in places from the big screen. You're able to get a sense of motion. You're able to get a sense of scope and scale about how large some of the train elements are. It does what it can to make use of it, and I think that's a really good thing. Plus,
the other thing I will tell you is that you have, the obvious thing is you can watch them. You can. Well, I was gonna say, you don't have a choice about going to the theaters to see Demon Slayer Mugen Train. If you want to see it, you have to see it in the theater. So it takes 100% of the audience that wants to see this thing, as opposed to Mortal Kombat, which I don't know what the ratios are, but let's say at least half of the people who want to go see it have the option of seeing it at home. There was an article I saw on Box Office Pro that talked about we were touting the return of theaters. There was this big wave of theaters opening, capacities being enlarged. There were all kinds of things happening that were kind of sparking a return to theaters. There was a lot of welcome back to the movies kind of a thing happening. And then the second week of Mortal Kombat, it was like doom and gloom. It was, apparently people are not ready to come back to the theaters just yet. Like, they'll come out for something like a Fast and the Furious or, where you don't have a choice. And, it's either see it on the big screen, and there's no other way to watch a Fast and the Furious movie than on the big screen. Or obviously Demon Slayer. But if given a choice, given a choice of anything but the biggest of the biggest blockbuster cinematic experiences, people are still, in large part, okay with watching it at home. Which is it's going to have a negative effect on the box office for a lot of these movies that maybe if you didn't have the choice, it wouldn't. Would Mortal Kombat have won in its second weekend? Probably, if you didn't have a choice to see it anywhere else.
It might have eked it out, but I tend to think the drop would have been significant enough that for something like Demon Slayer, which draws more people, by which I mean, look, how many kids went and saw this? I don't care that it's rated R.
I think you're underestimating, though, the adult audience for this thing. Because, I mean, Lily...
Oh, I'm aware of that. Like, I'm just saying, you're not taking a 7-year-old to see Mortal Kombat. You might take a 7-year-old to see Demon Slayer.
I did take a 7-year-old to see Demon Slayer.
And would you have ever taken your son to see this Mortal Kombat, this one, the 2021?
No, I won't even let him watch it at home. In one of the rare instances where I think something is too violent for my children.
You're actually trying to parent?
Fuck you. He said in front of his child on a podcast.
Yes, it's very easy for me to get you to do that.
It's okay. If Robert doesn't take a cheap shot at my parenting or my marriage, he doesn't sleep at night, so it's fine.
That's very true. I tossed and turned the entire time I was away from podcasting with you.
It's great.
Ruined my sleep schedule.
Glad I could help.
You slept like a baby. I'm lying.
So anyway, just looking at the weekend drops here. So Mortal Kombat had a 73.4% drop.
That's a calamitous drop.
What I was looking at was the difference in the weekend take. So you talked about eking out. Demon Slayer won but only by about $200,000. Like they both made $6 million, but Mortal Kombat made $6 million too, and Demon Slayer made just about $6 million for.
So if you assume that you have to go see it a second time in theaters if you want to see it a second time, it would probably win, but it wouldn't. It would not win by a huge amount.
Mm-hmm.
Like that drop that tells you everything about that movie.
Right. Well,
you're always going to see some drop. You drop 70%. Mm-hmm. I don't care that you're available on HBO Max right now for free to anyone who has that service.
People have stopped caring.
Yeah, that's calamitous. That someone watched it as a novelty and then went ew and never wants to see it again.
Well, that completely wrecked my predictions from Mortal Kombat about how the weekend was going to go. I said it was going to win the weekend again because it had no competition. I did not expect a come from behind, victory of the little Mugen train that could. But May 7th is a whole other bag of chips. We have the Jason Statham, Guy Ritchie action thriller Wrath of Man that debuts. That's going to win the weekend. That's in wide release.
In all probability, yes.
I can't imagine with no other with competition any film captures any animated film, especially a specialty animated feature like an anime. I don't care how popular it is going to be the number one movie 3 weekends in a row or 2 weekends in a row. That's ridiculous.
Wager?
Yeah, I'll bet you one shiny nickel.
Oh, so you have no confidence. I'm just messing with you. I'm not going to bet this.
No, I am 100% certain, and you can make fun of me on the next podcast if I'm wrong. I mean, we're going to talk about Wrath of Man when it comes out anyway. But I think Wrath of Man is the #1 movie of the weekend. You have a bunch of,
you're correct.
You have
I'm
a bunch
looking
of
forward to it.
You have a bunch of limited releases, which I'm not going to go over. You can check out the calendar if you want, if you're interested in these limited release movies. But the other wide release is an indie film from Stage 6 called Here Today, starring Sharon Stone, Penn Badgley, Lauren Benanti, and Tiffany Haddish. No one will see it. No one will care.
That's not true. It will sweep the Oscars. So you're correct. No one will care.
And then May 4th.
Did you see, just a brief aside, did you see how low the viewership was for the Oscars this year?
It's like the worst ever, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Yep, this was the wrong year for me to pay attention and try to tweet stuff around it. Say I always miss the train. I always miss the Mugen train. Huh, Lily? Huh? I always miss the Mugen train. Yeah.
You are Zenitsu desperately running along behind the train as it takes off, and the rest of us have already boarded and are trying to figure out how to kill it.
That sounds about right. May 14th is the big wide release of Spiral. The split wide on HBO Max is Those Who Wish Me Dead, but it's not built on it's not based on a video game or a comic book, so no one will care and no one will see it. Though apparently Andrew asked me about it. He's like, "Are you guys doing that?" And I'm like, "No." And he was like, "Oh, okay." I was like, "Should I?" He was like, "Well, I can't help out with it." And I'm like, "What are you asking me about this for then?" And then there's another wide release. There's a couple other wide releases. There's one from Focus Feature Profile, which they actually showed the trailer for, Lily. What did you think of that movie that was all done on Skype and cell phones and stuff? What did you think of the trailer for that?
It was kind of scary. I don't exactly understand it.
Yeah, neither did I, and I knew what was happening. It's yet another one of these where the entire movie was shot on cell phones, and I think it was actually done by the people who did the horror movie Unfriended or some shit like that, which was a lot of the same premise. In this particular case, the premise is a reporter is trying to, through Skype, is trying to infiltrate a terrorist group.
Well, that sounds stupid.
It really does.
Hold on.
Yes, sir.
This came up briefly when we were driving home when we were driving back today. How is it that streaming services will throw money after these dumb projects? And I know this one's getting a wide release and has a small budget, but just stick with me on the logic. We get crap like that, but not Netflix or Warner Brothers or Amazon Prime or even Disney Plus, as they're trying to branch out into their Stars, subheading, is willing to give Guillermo del Toro the $200 million to make it The Mountains of Madness. This is why we can't have nice things. Y'all are painfully desperate for content, but what would be one of the biggest projects you could get, no one's willing to touch for some reason. Shame on all of you morons.
Another wide release and yet another indie film, Roadside Attractions, Finding You, starring it's a drama romance. That's right up Lily's alley, right? You like all the kissing and the romance, don't you, Lily?
Nope, not one bit. I can handle it from time to time, but if the whole movie is based off of it, then no. Just no.
All right, so we won't be reviewing that here on the Radulich and Broadcasting Network. Finding You, starring Catherine McNamara, Tom Everett Scott, Vanessa Redgrave, and Judith Hoag.
That's certainly... I'm not going to say it.
There's almost nothing May 21st. The biggest thing coming out May 21st is Army of the Dead, and that's on Netflix. There is a wide release, but no one's going to give a shit. And then the 28th, we actually start getting into the actual summer movies, starting with Cruella and A Quiet Place Part 2. So, as I said, I think Demon Slayer kind of had its moment in the sun. Enjoy the weekend in the #1 spot because it's not going to last long. It's not going to last past
I
May
want
7th.
it to last longer.
You
I want it to stay in the #1 spot.
Yeah? You think you want it to be the #1 movie even when Wrath of Man and Spiral comes out?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, considering that she's not going to see Wrath of Man or Spiral.
No, I won't. I will not see that.
No, you don't want to watch torture porn?
Nope. I don't want to watch that stuff.
Okay, that's my daughter. All right, I think we're done with the money here.
Inherited her constitution from you.
Listen.
Poke, poke.
Hashtag fatherhood. All right. Hey, I forgot to mention this earlier. Lily, what did you think of the music from Demon Slayer Mugen Train?
It was pretty good. It was also really catchy.
Yeah. Is the music something that you would want to listen to separately, like on your own, like when you're just kind of hanging out in your room reading or doing homework or whatever?
Yes.
Well, let me tell you, Lily, you should ask your mother to sign you up for AmazonMusic.com. AmazonMusic.com is a fabulous streaming service where the Mugen Train soundtrack, stuff related to Demon Slayer, or any one of these anime soundtracks, or what else are you listening to these days, Lily? What kind of music do you like to listen to that you think you could find on AmazonMusic.com? What bands, what songs, what?
I recently got into K-pop and J-pop.
Of course you fucking did.
Also, is Amazon Music our sponsor today?
Yes. Good
They
pick.
were.
We are very grateful for their support.
So yes, Lily, you can find all the K-pop and J-pop and Lee-pop and Zest-pop and Pop Soda and Pop Warner, Pop Evil, Pop Will Eat
Zelda's
Itself,
not even real.
anything, all the pops you can find on AmazonMusic.com. If you click our link in the description, Amazon Music, get AmazonMusic.com/W2M Network. You can get a free 30 days of Amazon Music, and you can stream all the K-pop and J-pop and Ray-pop and Pop Will Eat Itself you want. Isn't that
there
wonderful,
soda
Lily?
pop?
Is there what?
Is there soda pop?
There's Soda Pop, there's Jiffy Pop. It's all on AmazonMusic.com.
I was like,
This ad read brought to you by Lily's Pop.
Yeah.
Obvious jokes aside.
All right, let's go ahead and do the critical review.
Are you ready? No! I said, are you ready?
No, God! No, God, please, no! 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 No!
For you listeners of Damn You Hollywood and the Radulich and Broadcasting Network on W2M, Grammarly is offering a free download of the Grammarly software. Lily, you could use Grammarly to help you with your schoolwork, to help you with your ELA writing. Isn't that wonderful? Let me tell you about Grammarly, Lily, because Grammarly could help you. Grammarly's AI-powered products help people communicate more effectively. Grammarly helps you write mistake-free on Gmail, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and nearly anywhere else you write on the web. Grammarly corrects hundreds of grammar, punctuation, and spelling mistakes while also catching contextual errors, improving your vocabulary, and suggesting style improvements. To download Grammarly today, go to getgrammarly.com/W2M Network. Again, that's getgrammarly.com/W2M Network to download Grammarly for free. When you go to school tomorrow, you should tell your teachers, we all need to get on the Grammarly for our ELA. What do you think about that, Lily?
okay, but can I also use it when I want to write my own short stories?
You can use it to write anything. Isn't that great?
Yay! My ELA teacher will be so happy.
Everyone needs to get Grammarly, and they can do so by clicking the link on the description of this podcast, or by going to getgrammarly.com/W2M Network. All right, now with all the bills paid out of the way. All
Seriously,
right.
if anyone else would like or is interested in sponsoring us, you can contact Mark. You can contact Sean Garmer. We are happy to read your ad copy.
Don't contact me. Contact Sean Garmer. He's in charge of business affairs.
I don't know. Contact Mark just to annoy him because it amuses me.
I'll make my wife deal with it like I do everything else. David Ehrlich. What are you saying over there, loudmouth? David Ehrlich of IndieWire, top critic. One of the few splats I see here. Anyone who's hacked through enough Demon Slayer to keep pace with Mugen Train can surely handle what this movie has to offer. It's the rest of us who might want to think twice, and he gave it a C, Lily. He gave it a C.
Oh, no. I went to watch a movie that built on an existing property without watching enough of the existing property. Whatever will I do? Boy, do I have bad news for you, sir, about the upcoming spate of Marvel movies. I don't understand why the Scarlet Witch is a villain.
All right, the rest, literally, that's the only splat in this entire thing, so I'll just read a handful of these and we'll be done with this segment. Daniel Curland of Den of Geek, it's not just a satisfying Demon Slayer movie, it's a triumph of animated cinema, period.
That seems a bit hyperbolic.
Yeah.
Again, if we're talking just about the quality of the animation, I might actually agree with that. Again, this is gorgeously animated. But if we're going to try and hold the story for this up to, again, the likes of Studio Ghibli, and even if we're talking from a purely technical aspect, what was accomplished
this
from an
film
animation
does not resonate more emotionally than an American Tale. You can't sell me on the argument that, I mean, it's apples and oranges in some aspects, but I mean, when I think about a triumph of animated cinema, if you're talking from a purely aesthetic point of view, yeah, I'm not going to argue with you either. But if you're talking about emotional resonance, anything by Pixar, An American Tale, The Land Before Time.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of very, very high quality animated features out there that will resonate emotionally. Again,
Toy Story 3.
Okay, I'm going to give you a reference that I'm not sure you'll get, but is probably the most emotionally destructive film you'll ever see. And is entirely animated, Grave of the Fireflies.
I've never seen it.
I know Sean recommended the Studio Ghibli catalog. First of all, I wholeheartedly second that recommendation. Those are a lot of... there's not really a bad entry into that entire catalog.
Is Princess Mononoke one of them? Because I've seen that one.
Yes. Princess Mononoke... My
Spirited
Neighbor
Away.
Totoro, Spirited Away.
I've seen that one. I've seen Spirited Away.
Spirited Away is a wonderful movie, too.
Yeah. Fern Gully.
No.
Oh, okay. Damn it. two for three.
But Grave of the Fireflies is... that'll do a number on you emotionally.
Mary Beth McAndrews of Paste Magazine. Demon Slayer, Kimetsu no Yaiba the Movie, Mugen Train is an incredible film that manages to capture that tenderness of the series while creating jaw-dropping fight sequences. Yeah, okay, this whole segment's going to die because like everyone just loved it.
Again, jaw-dropping might be a bit of a stretch, but the fight especially the final one, is incredibly well done.
Yeah.
Shiraz Faruqi of Comic Book Debate. Demon Slayer Mugen Train is a masterclass in anime filmmaking. From the stunning animation and beautiful characters to the memorable score and faithful storytelling, Demon Slayer continues to show why it's taken the world by storm.
Yeah, again, we're getting a touch hyperbolic from my experience with it, but the crux of the argument there, I think, is sound.
Yeah, so far, I think these are... hyperbolic is a word, but I can't... None of these are making me go, like, what the hell are they thinking?
Yeah.
Kate Sanchez... But why, though? A geek community? Asking the question, how do you get on Rotten Tomatoes? Mugen Train is masterful and sets a new standard for anime films to meet.
I'm not sure about... Again, if we're talking just about visual quality, maybe I could buy that. But there's some very poor arguments being presented here in these reviews. Even though I kind of agree with the conclusion, these are still some oddly structured arguments.
G. Allen Johnson of San Francisco Chronicle, top critic. This is not only a film about battles between humans and demons, but also a character-building buddy movie about maturation.
Yeah, bit of that. I don't think it succeeds as much on that second part, but that's one of the things that I think saves this movie as a whole, is that it's not... kind of to your point, if this was just a stupid version of Fury Road, so if this was a Transformers movie, no one would care. The fact that it actually has an emotional core to it is kind of what saves it.
Ann Lee Pavier of Nobody's Reading This But Me. Ain't that the truth?
Well, that's not true anymore, Mark. You're reading it.
True. Like a nightmare that refuses to end, Japan's highest-grossing feature film is an off-the-rails trip. Yay, I found a stupid one.
Yeah, that's pretty stupid. Wow.
Well, that's why no one's reading this but me, stupid.
Yeah. How did you get on Rotten Tomatoes anyway?
I tell you, I gotta sit down with this thing one day and figure out how to get us on there because I mean we're better than that.
One would certainly hope so.
All right, Lily.
You know what the problem is? There's too much nonsense in what we do, and I love the nonsense. But that's probably what they like. We don't pass the pre-screening because we don't jump right into talking about the movie.
So, Lily, did you have fun talking about this with Robert? Robert, I have to say, before she even answers, I have to tell you she was very nervous about this because she doesn't want you to be mad at her or think she's dumb.
To be fair, I am mad at everyone, and I think most of humanity is dumb.
See, Lily? You're not special.
You're in good company. Not at all.
But did you have fun, Lily? Was this a worthwhile endeavor for you?
Yes, it was.
Okay. What are you going to come back and talk about next with us?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, actually, Dad told us that over the summer Jonas will join on for something similar to this.
Yeah, my son won't rest until he gets to be on a long form discussion podcast. So I pitched an idea, and we're going to do it over the summer. So there you go.
So hang on. What's the over/under on him running away, screaming, "Take off my pants"? How many minutes?
5.
I was gonna go 20.
All right. Speaking of take off my pants, that's it. We're done. Tomorrow night, Scott Pilgrim week begins in earnest. We threw up an alternative commentary. Lily and Jonas were on that for the video game. We watched a playthrough on the PS5, and we all kind of asked, "What the hell are we watching?" And now we've seen the movie, we kind of know. Tomorrow night, Sean and I are discussing the first 2 books in the Scott Pilgrim collection. They are collected as part of the Scott Pilgrim Color Collection, Volume 1. So we'll discuss that on source material. Tuesday, we are reviewing the Anamanaguchi album for Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game, the soundtrack. That'll be me, Jesse, Sean Gromer, and Sean Comer. On Wednesday, we've got a couple of different things going on. It's Cinco de Mayo, and what better way to celebrate with our re-airing of our Metal Hammer of Doom, where we reviewed Brujeria, Viva Presidente Trump, and Acho Patzla. We'll also reviewing Pennyworth Season 2. I think Jesse and I might be the only 2 people watching it, but that's okay. And then myself and Alexis Haina are going to be reviewing Looney Tunes Season 1D. Much to Alexis Haina's chagrin, my daughter will not be on to continue on her lambasting of Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Because she'll be at school.
Alexis would absolutely send you to hell.
Thursday, we've got a triple threat. We've got myself and Chris Bailey reviewing AEW Blood and Guts. Then Alexis Haina and I will review The Mitchells versus the Machines. Quick, Lily, 50 words or less. What did you think of The Mitchells versus the Machines?
Katie was my favorite character. Aaron somewhat reminds me of Jonas. And why did they have to throw in a scene where the dad did not know how to use a computer? That did not make sense.
Because old people are... Because this is what we do now. This is what passes for humor for the rising generation.
And then we cap off Scott Pilgrim week with myself and Sean Comer doing an on-trial for Scott Pilgrim versus the World to celebrate its 10th anniversary, re-release in theaters.
I look forward to you tearing it apart, Mark.
It's fine. On Friday, it's our Flashback Friday episode of Damn You Hollywood. It's me and Robert Winfree reviewing Days of Future Past. That'll be up this Friday in the archives. Yeah,
that was a fun discussion.
And then on Saturday, we're re-airing one of the very few episodes my wife was ever on of Long Road to Ruin. Her and Sean reviewed the Twilight Saga. So if you want to hear my wife gush about how Robert Pattinson broke the bed off of Kristen Stewart's ass, go ahead and give that a listen.
That's only partially accurate.
And then, real quick, we got 2 entries going into the Superblog Team Up. The Superblog Team Up debuts May 12th. It'll be a whole bunch of different bloggers and myself. The Radulich and Broadcasting Network is submitting 2 entries into the Superblog Team Up. One for Long Road to Ruin, where we are looking at the 2 Eddie Murphy, Dr. Dolittle movies. The other one is a Metal Hammer of Doom. The first time we've done a Metal Hammer of Doom for the Superblog Team Up, we are reviewing the seminal Motley Crue platinum hit, Dr. Feelgood.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
One of the few bands I've seen in concert. I've seen Motley Crue.
Oh wow! You left your house to go see a musical act? That's amazing.
My aunt gifted me. She and I went together for. They came through. It was a birthday present.
Well, guess
So
what?
the two of us went and saw that. A lot of fun.
Lily's getting to go see. Lily's getting to go see Motley Crue this summer. It's the stadium tour. Def Leppard, Motley Crue, Poison, and Joan Jett. Lily got her Joan Jett T-shirt or tank top for Christmas, and so we're going to be going to see that this summer in Orlando. So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
She'll get to go see Motley Crue live.
Yeah.
You'll get to experience. Are you meowing? She'll get to.
Yeah.
She's a cat. Meow. Flushing the toilet.
I said, yeah.
So yeah, Lily will get to experience all the goodness that is Dr. Feelgood live and in person. All right, last week.
I imagine you will be on hand to cover her eyes at various points throughout the show.
We reviewed Vanquish, Superman Grounded, Part 1, Mortal Kombat, the Mortal Kombat soundtracks, the 95 Mortal Kombat. We re-aired our Long Road to Ruin for Jack
I
Ryan.
have to ask, because
Yes.
I haven't been able to listen to it yet, but how poor was your attack on the 95 Mortal Kombat movie? Like, because you had to prosecute that thing, and there's almost nothing bad you can really say.
The effects don't hold up. That was a lot of what I talked about. Some of the acting is not great, and the ending was poorly written. I mean, the stuff with Liu
Wait.
Kang and Shang Tsung was fine, but like Johnny Cage and Tawny Katan are just kind of hanging out at the end.
Wait. The one with Johnny Cage?
Yeah.
I don't like him.
Of course you don't.
Why don't you like Johnny Cage, Lily?
Because he likes girls.
And he just... he's obnoxious to me.
A little bit, yeah. He's supposed to be.
All right, that's all my plugs. Lily, she has no plugs. She has no podcasts. She does schoolwork. But you can hear Lily on various stuff that we've done. The aforementioned Scott Pilgrim alternative commentary, the Tom and Jerry the 92 movie alternative commentary. She's on a couple of the wrestling ones. You can hear her scream, "That's not okay," when Britt Baker fell into tax on with her match against Thunder Rosa.
What's wrong with that?
She was on the Hop alternative commentary. So if you liked Lily and you want to hear more of her, she's on the Demon Slayer show plus the last year of alternative commentaries. You should go back in the archives and find our last Superblog team up that we did, where I made her watch and do a commentary track for Flash Gordon, and she had to give her extemporaneous thoughts about Hawkman and his short shorts.
That movie is so bad.
All right, Robert, without repeating all the things I just said, go ahead and do your plugs.
I don't have a tremendous amount to plug just yet. I missed my coverage on Friday of WWE SmackDown and the end of Daniel Bryan on SmackDown, apparently. We'll see how long that lasts. But he and Roman Reigns apparently had an exceptional match because they're both exceptional professional wrestlers. Who'd have thought? Many thanks to whoever stepped in to do that for me live. I forget who it was, so my apologies there, but someone did. So many thanks. Deeply appreciate you doing that. I did not get to watch the UFC event last night because I was, again, at a wedding. But Yuri Prochazka scored a spinning back elbow knockout over Dominic Reyes.
Nice.
You can find the clip online if you look it up, Mark. You'll appreciate it. It's brutal. So I will be giving some of my thoughts on the fights that I have seen from that card when I get done with this show and I record the 411 Ground and Pound podcast. So a brief, some of what I have seen on that particular event and a preview of what was formerly, everyone play taps for a second, TJ Dillashaw versus Corey Sandhagen. That fell apart earlier this week when TJ Dillashaw suffered a cut. Pretty nasty one on the eyebrow.
What time is all that airing, and more importantly, do you think it'll be done by the time Canelo and Saunders get in the ring?
If this works off of the usual fight time, it will not. If it is, I am happy to watch Canelo and Saunders and talk about it with you.
Sweet.
So touch base with me when we get a little closer to air date and we know a little bit more.
Yep.
But if you want to know how bad this UFC event has gotten, the front runner to replace TJ Dillashaw and Corey Sandhagen as your main event is Michelle Watterson and Marina Rodriguez.
Oy vey. If nobody was watching it before, less than nobody's going to be watching it now, seeing as it's up against the Canelo fight. They really should have done that one early in the day. Like, there is no reason to have that competing directly with Canelo.
I don't know. I don't know the start time yet. The UFC is very. This will fluctuate, so it might be done by the time that happens. I don't know for sure.
Yeah.
But because Canelo always fights around Cinco de Mayo, he will be fighting Billy Joe Saunders. That's actually a really good fight.
Yeah, it is. They are on the Fox fight where Arislandi Lara knocked the shit out of Cornflake. They actually
Lara's
had
legit.
Yeah, they had what's his face there with the IBF title, Plant. They had Caleb Plant kind of come on and be like, yeah, get these two in and out of the ring so that I can have my shot at Canelo already. Like he seemed very bitter that why haven't I gotten a shot at Canelo yet? But
because you took a pointless mandatory, sir, and DAZN was willing to offer up more money than
either way.
Either way,
they are absolutely angling for Caleb Plant versus Saul Alvarez in the fall.
Assuming Canelo beats Saunders, which, while probable, is not a given. If Canelo is serious about wanting to unify all the belts in that division, Saunders at that point, Plant will have the last one that he does not have.
Yeah.
So he will be collecting the Mind Stone out of the poor man's skull. And then snapping, and half of the boxing community will disappear, and then all things will be perfectly balanced. Dude, did you see Canelo's interview last week?
No.
Dude, he's normally a very reserved interview. He sent Oscar De La Hoya to hell.
Good. Well, he deserved it. All right.
Yes.
So she can go. So my daughter can go to bed. Anything else?
Cool. Be on the lookout for stuff from us in the upcoming weeks. Again, this week is going to be quiet from me. After that, we have stuff like Wrath of Man, which Mark and I will be reviewing. We'll be doing Falcon and the Winter Soldier. There will be a Woman in the Window. I believe that's a Netflix exclusive movie, so Mark and I will talk about that.
Yep.
Spiral. I'm doing the TV party for Jupiter's Legacy. I got a reprieve on the book, but we'll be talking the television show with Mark. So going to be a busy month for me. You're going to get a lot of me. I apologize in advance.
Why not take all of me? All right. For my daughter, Lily, who was a lovely guest, and I can't wait to have her on to talk about something she's passionate about again. For Robert Winfree, who I love a little less, I'm Mark Radulich.
I would certainly hope so.
This has been Damn You Hollywood. Be well, be safe, and behave.